As we see in today's interconnected world, you will see most of the information security is just a buzzword, isn't just a buzzing word. Okay, it is very much critical to the business. Okay, and with ISO 27001, this standard generally it's a globally recognized framework. Okay, for managing information securities or for managing the sensitive data and to understand how we can implement this into an high valuable skills. Okay, so let's take a quick look into our agenda for today's that what we are going to talk. So first we will be starting with an introduction. Okay, introduction to ISO 27001 and lead implementer role. Okay, so where I will be covering the fundamental principle of the standard, we will be discussing what it meant to be a lead implementer, what are the responsibilities, what necessary skills you will be requiring to to become a lead implementer. Then we will be diving into the core of the standard by understanding the ISO 27001 requirement. So in this section, we are going to break down the keys and controls, the clauses and the controls, which will help you to understand that organization needs to get compliant under to those uh, clauses. Okay. After that, I will be giving you hands-on with the practical implementation methodology, where we will be discussing onto the step-by-step approach of an ISO 27001 project, starting from an scoping to an risk assessment to an documentation and then to an control implementation. Okay. Now, following to that, we will be discussing onto the practical aspects and the certification that once the project has been completed, the main focus will be onto the certification for the organization. Now, what are the common challenges do we expect during our final certification process, and how that certification process will go inside the organization? That we are going to discuss. So let's get started. Let's discuss on all this. So there are a few points to get an understanding onto the specific standard. So let's start with a deep look into the introduction of N 27001. Okay. Now, what actually is 27001? Okay. So, ISO 27001, as we know, it's an international standard for what? For managing the information security. Okay. Just think that often global recognizing best practices. Okay. So they are not just the rules for specific countries. It is the standard which has been developed by the expert, and those standard is being used worldwide. That is what the ISO has been saying. Okay. So there are multiple partners. There are many customers around the globe. Okay, who will get confident if they adopt this standard because it's a very serious one. Okay, for example, if company in India want to do a business with the bank in Germany, and if that company is having an ISO 27001 certificate, it acts as a common language. It provides a level of trust. Okay, from there it will get started. Okay. Next, moving on to the next point, the standard. Now the standard specifically defines the requirement. Requirement means, so whenever you see a requirement written along with the standard. Okay. So if you visit the ISO website, you will see two things. Okay. So one is your guidance standard and one is your requirement standard. Now, what is the difference between guidance standard and requirement standard is, so against the requirement standard, if you are adopting, it becomes a mandatory, and you will see all the certificate are only available along with those along with those requirement standard. Okay. On other hand, guidance standards are what? Those are just acting as your best practices. Okay. How you are going to do that task? What will be your steps? Okay. How we will be covering those aspects? Now, all those informations have been given under to your guidance standard. Okay, so these are the two things what we are getting from the ISO 27001. From the ISO, sorry. Okay. Now 27001, as we say, it's a requirement standard for information security management system to an ISMS. So generally, you will see ISMS is a very systematic approach, a step-by-step approach. Okay, to manage the organization sensitive information. Now, it is not just a very random thing that we go ahead and install the firewall or install the antivirus program. It's not like that. Okay, it's a comprehensive system. where we are including people, where we are including the processes, where we are including the technologies as well. Okay, for example, or you can say for an instance, ISMS includes having policies. Okay, now those policies have been aligned with the people. Okay, so the people can handle the data. Now, how those policies need to be added? So we have the procedure for that. Okay, so all these are, or you can say all this PPT have been aligned with the ISMS. Okay, it's an ongoing process. We have to manage it, or we have to regularly manage it. It's not an one-time process. Okay, so let's say if I say that today we implement the ISMS in the organization, after that I get the certificate, everything has been fine now. Okay, everything has been fine. Again, I don't have to go for the audit. Again, I don't have to maintain anything. No, it's not. Risk is not static. Okay, so every time there will be a new risk, there will be new opportunities. So we have to maintain it. Just like how you get certified in any of the can say industry best certificate available in the market. Now for that certification, we have to maintain it as well. How we maintain it? By getting the CPA point, by paying some of the maintenance fees. Okay, so what we are doing over here, we are simply staying relevant with that technology. Same goes with the ISMS as well. If you are adopting the framework, it's mandatory. You have to continuously improve the things and you have to manage it parallelly. Okay, now how that has been done? We have the risk-based approach to manage the ISMS. Okay, so we have to go with the risk-based approach to manage all those emerging threat. Okay, now this is a very critical concept. Instead of trying to protect everything equally inside the organization, uh, we don't do that. We don't give the equal level of authority to each and every assets inside the organization. So first we have to identify what are the most valuable assets inside the organization. Okay, for example, for me, the customer data or the intellectual property is is the most important thing. Okay, so we need to protect those customer data. We need to protect those intellectual property. Now, how you are going to how you I have addressed that by simply performing the risk-based assessment. Okay, so after the risk assessment, we will choose the appropriate control. For example, you can say that if we are into the hospital business, now for that hospital, what will be the most important information to be protected? The most important information will be the, I can say, specifically the patient medical records. Okay, so those will become an critical asset. Now this risk management, or you can say the risk assessment, will show what will be the threat associated with those, you can say, patient data. Okay, so there can be a threat. We can say that anyone can have an access to that data. Okay, if there is any unauthorized access by the staff, there can be a cyber attack as well. We cannot predict it. Okay, now based on this, what hospital will going to do? They are going to implement a specific control. Okay, so they can go with secure area controls. Okay, specifically for that patient record, they can have some robust firewall protection as well into the network. Okay, so rather than spending money on less relevant controls, so this process or this approach will be making their security more efficient and more effective as well by going with a risk-based approach. Okay. Next, which standard or which framework we will be discussing today? So we are going to specifically focusing on to the latest one, the 2022 version. Okay, so it's an updated one. We are getting a few updates onto the annexure A. Annexure A is just an control, the list of an control. Now there are few controls which have been introduced in this 2022 version. The previously we are adopting the 2030 version. Now what we have seen a major change in the technology. Okay, not only that, we have seen there is an lots of an can say the risk related to all those technology, like for example we have adopted the cloud technology. Now cloud, there are new types of risk which have been emerging. We have seen new types of cyber attacks as well in this course period. And even if you have seen after the pandemic, this has become a very much challenging for the organization. There are multiple types of cyber attacks which have been happening, isn't it? So with this 2022 update, we introduced new controls in the annexure A. So those controls are, for example, we have introduced the threat intelligence. Okay, we have introduced the information security specifically for the cloud services. We have introduced few controls into your physical security monitoring. Okay, so with this, what we are ensuring, we are simply ensuring that the standard is relevant. Not only that, it is helping the organization to protect all those assets from this emerging threat, like a sophisticated ransomware attack or from a data breach, specifically targeting onto the cloud-based environment. Okay, so this is a very powerful toolkit. It's very flexible as well, 27001, and not only that, it is globally recognized as well. Okay, which is further helping the organization to build a robust defense against to those information security threat. Okay, and you can tailor it according to your, I can say, specific risk or to your modern challenges. So this is what we are getting specifically within 27001. Okay. Now moving ahead, uh, why this makes and very much important in today's world. Okay. Why you are saying that 27001 is very much emerging and people are talking a lot about and 27001. So first of all, uh, it is very much obvious as well. Okay. So protecting the sensitive data in today's digital world, data is very much valuable asset for the organization, no doubt about it. Whether it's an customer credit card information, or whether it's an employee information, or whether it's an any specifically confidential business plans. Okay, so data breach can you can say lead to a lots of damages to the organization. It can be and can say uh, reputational damage. Okay, company can face some of the legal troubles as well. They can go to the financial losses as well. Okay, so this ISO 27001 is providing you a structured way how you are going to identify, how you are going to protect those data. Okay, for example, let's go back into that hospital example. Okay, in that healthcare company with the ISMS 27001, what we are trying to do, we are simply trying to protect those patients' records, medical record, and with that we are ensuring that this records is only accessible by the authorized person, like the doctors. Okay, so we are adding a level of security over here. Secondly, we are going to build a trust with the customer and with the partners as well by having 27001. Okay, if the company has been claiming that they have been certified, okay, so what does that means? That means they are taking security very much seriously. Okay, in this world or in this age where we are seeing major data breach, which is making a headline on a very regular day, almost every day. Okay, so this assurance is going to make a lot of a difference. Okay, just imagine you are protecting I can say, let's just say, let's say you are your potential customer is trying to decide that I want to go with a specific, you can say, service provider. Okay, a specific service provider. Now, there are two service providers available in the market. Now, one service provider is coming with the same cost, and another one is also coming with the same cost. Now, the difference is what? One is having a certificate proudly displayed onto their website that they are ISO 27001 certified, and other one is not mentioning it. Okay, their security practice, I cannot get an confirmation. I'm not getting a confident as well. Okay, so to whom I will be approaching? So I will be approaching to those organization who is having the certificate, because that certificate is just acting as a trust badge. Okay, so whenever, let's say, if you are planning to make a switch, okay, and specifically you are saying that, okay, I want to become an auditor now. So from specific domain, I want to switch into another domain, into an auditing domain. Now, when you try to approach to an organization by sharing the CV, now what first organization is going to check? Okay, you have that information. Parallelly, they will check, do you have the certificate? Okay. If you are not having the certificate, and in that case, I am also applying over there and I am having a certificate. So my CV will get a priority. Okay, it is just building a trust because that certificate is acting as a badge, which is giving them a confident that yes, this person is having a certificate. So let's review this person first. Okay. Now this lead to the directly the point number three, competitive advantage. Okay. Beyond to this, just building the trust ISO certificate is just going to open the door for the new business as well. Okay, many large organizations, particularly those are into the finance, those are into the government, and those are into the technology, now required a supplier or the partner to get certified under to ISO 27001 for doing more businesses. Okay, so by getting certified, you are not just protecting your own business, you are making sure that the company is more attractive to the high level, or you can say the high value clients as well. Okay. Next, help with the legal and regulatory compliant. That is your GDPR, HIPAA for an instance. Okay. Now, government and industries, can say the industry body around the world are implementing some strict data protection law. Think of a regulation like GDPR. Now, this regulation is specifically in the Europe. Then we have the HIPAA, okay, for the healthcare data. So this security controls are been processed. Not only that, if you are adopting 27001, it becomes mandatory to keep the laws on the priority. And based on that law, we have to fulfill those requirement. Okay, which is going to save a lot of an cost for the organization from the fines from the legal battles. Okay. Finally, ensure the business continuity and the resilience. Okay, so security isn't just providing you or just preventing you from the breach, it is also preparing you from the worst case scenario as well. Okay, because this ISMS includes the plan how you are going to respond to the security incident by any chance. By any chance there is an incident. Okay, can say uh, specifically a security incident. Now how you are going to react at that time? What will be your plan of action? How you are going to remediate it, how you are going to treat it. So all those answers will be given under to this because we are making sure that our organization is ready for that action too. Okay, for example, let's say there is a ransomware attack. Now with that ransomware attack, what will happen? The attacker will going to lock down all the company servers. Okay, with having the ISO 27001, there will be a specific control talking on an incident response plan, talking onto the data backup. So what we are going to do, we are going to react at that situation with the help of an incident response plan. We will going to power on, or we are going to, they can say, strictly go with the backup recovery at that point of in time. Okay, if my server has been seized, if the ransomware attack has locked all my servers, no worries, we have the plan B available. So let's introduce the plan B. With that, we are simply ensuring that the business is still continue. We cannot stop the business. Okay, so ISO 27000 isn't just a technical exercise, it is giving you a strategic business decision. So you can protect your organization, you can build your reputation. Okay, and with that, it is making more strong and resilient in the digital world as well nowadays. Okay, so these are some of the important points having an ISO 27001 in the business. Now, followed by, let's say, what will be your role? Okay, so let's say tomorrow you go ahead and get the certified under 27001 as a lead implementer. Now, what will be your role? What will be your responsibility? Okay, so that is also a very important thing to understand. So let's quickly discuss on those part as well. Okay, so we will be covering on to the 27001 lead implementer. Now think of a person, uh, a captain of the ship. Okay, now what that captain of a ship is going to do, that person is going to guide the organization. Okay, guide that ship throughout the entire journey. Okay, so that is what the captain responsibility is. Same goes with the responsibility of the lead implementer. Okay. So lead implementer wears a hat of a project manager. Okay. This is a very massive project. Okay. So they are the responsible one to plan the timeline of the implementation. Not only that, to manage the budget as well, to derive the responsibilities, to assign the task between the team members. And not only that, they are going to give an assurity that yes, the project will be stayed on track. Okay. For example, if I am a lead implementer, what will be my role? First, I will be creating a project plan, which is going to give an outline about the milestone. Okay. So what will be done onto the first week? What will be done onto the second week? How I will be completing the risk assessment? Okay. Then in the fourth week, I will be drafting the reports. Then in the fifth week, I will be creating the security policies. And by the end of the second month, the complete project will be, I can say the implementation will be completed. So I am giving a complete timeline. Don't worry, I will show you how this timeline will look like. Okay. So the lead implementer, first of all, it is going to act as a project manager who is going to derive that project because it's a project which is have coming with a start and end date. Okay, so your implementation, your audit is just as an uh, we can say a project. Okay, next is the expert guide. Okay, so you don't have to be a technical guru in every single security details. Okay, what is the expectation? Just to have a deep understanding. That will be more than enough. Okay, so that is what the requirement of a 27001. So they are going to provide you the knowledge. Okay, for example, if your team member has been asking me, asking you, coming towards you and asking a question that what does clause number 6.1.2 is all about? Okay, what does that clause mean? So that clause is talking on to the risk assessment. Okay, now you are the person who is going to answer it. You are the person who is going to help to translate those standard language into an actionable step. Okay, third one is facilitator. Buildings, consequences, builds the conciseness and the culture. Okay, so implementing 27001 isn't just a top-down method. Okay, it requires buy-in from the people across the organization. For example, from an IT to an HR to an senior management. So this lead implementer job is to build the consistency and to have a strong security culture. Okay, so we might involve a workshop to explain why these certain security controls are necessary. Okay, then you will be having a meeting to resolve those disagreement between the department. Okay, or simply being an advocate for the security awareness to ensure that each and everyone understands their roles and responsibility for protecting the data. Okay, so that will be your role. Okay, next will be the documenter. So ISMS, you are building the foundation. Now, how you are going to can say claim this? How you will be justifying this? That yes, you have done or you have implemented few controls. So you need a justification. You need a validation. Now, how we are going to provide the justification in the form of a document? Okay, you are building a foundation by having this document. So lead implementer responsibility is to create all those crucial document. Okay. Now, what are the crucial document? We have statement of applicability. We have the risk treatment plan. We have security policies. We have the procedures. Now, all this document will be coming from the lead implementer side. Okay. So they will be creating all those policies. For example, access control policy. We are creating an access control policy specifically for the server room. Now, who will going to create this? Now, again, the lead implementer going to create it. They are going to make sure this document is been accessed, this document is been controlled, and there is a specific policy for that. Okay, so that is what the record is all about. Okay, and further you are going to train, you are going to give an awareness that how you are going to use this access control policy inside the organization. Okay, finally, as a lead implementer, can I do an audit? Absolutely yes, because you know thoroughly about the controls. So definitely you can become an internal auditor, you can do an internal assessment as well. Okay. Now, when the internal audit has been done, so first we do the implementation, and after that we do an evaluation whether those controls are properly been aligned. whether those controls are properly been installed. Okay, so that is what the role of an internal auditor is. Conduct the audit to prepare for the certification. Okay, so this is where we are going to identify any gap, identify the weakness into your ISMS, and then we are going to fix it before the external auditor arrives. Okay, so this practice is going to help you to ensure that organization is fully prepared now. They are very much confident for the final certification. Okay, so lead implementer is having a very versatile professional. So there are multiple combination you are going to have. You can become a project manager with specific skills, and then you can deep dive with the subject matter expert and having the strong skills as well to successfully guide the people, okay, towards the organization if they are planning for the certificate, and beyond to that you can become you can do an audit as well, the assessment. So this is what the roles and responsibility as a lead implementer you will be having under to your hat. Okay, now we have covered few of the basics. Okay, we talked about why and what of ISO 27001, as well as the roles, the responsibility of the implementer. Okay, now let's talk the core of the standard itself. Okay, we got an understanding what is an ISO, what is the importance of having an ISO 27001 standard for the organization, and as an implementer, what will be your roles and responsibility. Okay, now let's understand the core of the standard itself. 27001 requirement. What do we have in that requirement standard? Okay, so your requirement standard coming with the clauses. It will start from in clause number 4 to clause number 10. Okay, now what are these clauses? So pay an attention over here. So clause number 4 is talking on context of the organization. Clause 5 is talking on leadership. Clause 5 is talking on planning. Clause 7 is talking on support. Clause 8 is talking on operation. Clause 9 is talking on performance evaluation, and clause number 10 is talking on an improvement. Okay. So first of all, these are your mandatory thing. Okay, it's a requirement. Requirement means mandatory to follow. Context of the organization. If you are assigned with a project, okay, if you are assigned with a project, that go ahead, implement the ISMS at InfoSec train. This is what the project has been given to you all. Now, what will be your first thing? Okay, so first you will be getting an idea what that InfoSec train is all about. What is their business? What will are their internal set and external set? Who all are the interested party for that organization? So that is what the context of the organization is. Okay, we are understanding the business. Based on that, there will be a scope statement written. Where to implement? The scope is what is just acting as a boundary. So are we going to cover the complete organization, or are we going to cover the specific organization? So that information will be given under to your scope document. Okay, so at this point of in time, the scope document will be written. Okay, so first you will be having the understanding of the organization. Now, once you have the understanding of the organization, the scope will be written. That is what the clause number 4 has been saying, and mandatory it has been done. Okay, it have to be done. Then is your leadership. No task can be done until unless the support is from the top management. Okay, so leadership is talking about the commitment. It's a top-down responsibility. So senior management will going to show their commitment, that how the policy to be written, which all policy to be written, what will be the roles and responsibility as an ISMS implementer. Okay, along with that, they are going to provide me, or they are going to provide us some resources as well, so we can successfully implement the ISMS in the organization. Okay, so this leadership and commitment would be from the CEO signing off to the security policy to the allocating of the resources to the budgeting and the security training tools. All those things will be followed under to the leadership practices. Okay, because no project can be completed until unless you have, you can say, the support from the leadership. Okay, now I have full commitment from the leadership. I have the understanding of the organization. So let's move on to the next step, which is your planning. Okay, so this is where your real planning will happen. Okay, how to do risk assessment. You will be planning how to treat that risk. You will be creating a treatment plan. Okay, so first we will be creating a risk assessment methodology. What type of a risk assessment to be done, quantitative or qualitative? Then, if there is any risk identified, how we are going to treat that risk? So a plan will be proposed over here. Directly, we won't be starting with a risk assessment. So we need a plan for that. Okay. Now to complete that risk assessment, what do we will be requiring? A support. Okay, so definitely we required a people who will be conducting this risk assessment for me. Okay, so support clause, make sure that you have the right people with the right knowledge. So they can cover, they can perform the assessment. Okay, so support clause will going to be fulfill those requirement with the right people with the right knowledge. So further the project will be completed. Okay. Now what we have planned? We have planned for the risk assessment. We have a plan for the risk assessment, risk treatment. Now it's time to do that risk assessment. That is what an operation is all about. Okay. So whatever given on the paper, it's time to do it. Okay. So let's conduct the risk assessment as per the methodology. Now, once the assessment has been done, definitely there will be a risk identification. So what we are going to do? We are going to treat that risk. How? We have the treatment plan available for that. Okay. Now, once the treatment has been done, we have added the supporting control over there. The control is been implemented. After done, work is done. No, evaluate, check, monitor, analyze. Okay, so you have finded the gaps. You have fixed that problem. Now it's time to evaluate whether this problem is completely fixed or not. Whether you have reduced the risk. Okay, whether that risk is coming under to an appetite level. So here you are going to do an audit, internal audit, and with that you are giving a commitment of a continuous improvement. That is what in clause number 10 has been saying. Okay, so you are identifying the vulnerability, you are fixing that, you are identifying that non-conformity and fixing those non-conformity. Okay, so you have the result of a performance evaluation, which is making the things better. Okay, you are reporting of your audit findings. Okay, so that means we are taking the corrective action to fix the problem, to prevent it from the happening it again. Okay, so these are what the clauses have been stating, and it's a mandatory to follow. So we start with in clause number 4, context of the organization. Under to this, we have some of the sub clauses, which is saying understand, make a list of all the interested party, what will become an internal external threat for the organization, followed by create a scope document and stay relevant with the ISMS. Then is your leadership. Leadership is what? The commitment. How the commitment is given from the leadership. What are the roles and responsibility they have been giving? What all policies has been prepared, has been given by them. Okay, so that falls under to the leadership. Next is the planning. For any project, we require a plan. Okay, so we will be creating a plan over here. How you are going to complete that project? What will be the what will be your approach? Followed by to complete that project, we require assistant from him, from the people. So that is what the support clause is. So you will be getting all the qualified or skillful people to complete that task. Okay, and further those people are going to assist you in completion of the task. Okay, now once the planning is done, you have hired the skilled people. Now it's time to do the task. That is what the clause number 8 has been saying. Okay, so it is just reflecting your PDCA cycle, plan, do, check and act. Okay, so we will be planning, then you will be doing as per the plan. Do the risk assessment, do the risk treatment. Now, once the assessment and treatment has been done, check it. Okay, treat it, evaluate it, whether everything has been fixed or not, with the help of an internal audit, with the help of a management review. Okay, go with the continuous improvement, make the changes, keep on addressing the, I can say, the risk for the organization, bring it to the appetite level or to the accepted level. Okay, so that is what your clauses have been referring from the clause number 4 to clause number 10. Okay, now along with this clause, what additional thing we will be having? We will be happening over here. Okay, or you will be having in your ISMS document. We will be having the annexure as well. Okay, so it's not only the clauses you are going to have in your ISMS document, or it's not only the clauses we are going to fulfill it. To fulfill the clause, there will be a supporting controls as well. Okay. Now, first of all, how many controls we do have under to an annexure list? We have 93 controls in total. Okay. So there are 93 controls which has been categorized under to 4 themes. What are those 4 themes? Organization, people, physical, and technological. Okay. Previously, there are 113 controls. Now, ISO 27001, they have done a better segregation. They have come up with a better alignment. That is what the change is. And not only that, they have introduced 11 new controls as well. Okay. So how many controls we do have in all these 4 category? Under to an organization control, we have 37 controls. Under to a people control, we have 8 control. Under to an physical control, we have 14 controls, and under to an technological, we have 34 control. Okay. So first we have the organization. We will apply a control to that organization. Under to this organization, there are people who are working. We will apply a control to them. Okay, now how these people are coming in this building? So there will be a security, or you can say physical security control. Now what these people are using? They are using the technology like systems, servers. Okay, and for those we will be applying the controls. Okay, that is what your annexure A has been giving us. The high level information. 93 control, which is further categorized into 4 themes. Okay, you also call it as in 4 domains. These are your domains. These are your themes. Organization, people, physical, technological. How many controls? 37 in the organization, 8 in the people, 14 in the physical, and 34 in the technological. Okay. Further, whatever control you adopt. Okay, let's say we have out of this 93 controls, we have picked 63 controls. How you have picked? By performing the risk assessment. From that risk assessment, you came to know, okay, this 63 controls will be very much applicable to my organization. Okay, rest of the controls, rest 20 controls, it's not applicable because I don't use those service. Okay, now where you are going to give this information that which all controls you are having. So there will be a statement of applicability. We call it as an SOA. Okay, now it's an first of all mandatory document. Okay, to produce. Now who will be preparing this document? The lead implementer is going to produce this document. Now this document is just giving a justification that which security controls from the annexure A are being used and why. Not only that, it will give you the justification why you have not picked that rest of the 20 controls. Okay, so this SOA document is just acting as a link between the organization's risk assessment and the list of annexure A controls which you have selected. Okay, it will show auditor that organization has systematic and logically chosen those security measures. Okay, we have to provide a justification. If you are including any controls, That means 63 controls we are accepting, we are including, we will provide a justification for that. If we are excluding, explain that as well. Why you are excluding those 20 controls? Give the justification. Okay. So this statement of applicability is just acting as your official report card. It's the document which is going to handle which you will be which you will be handling for the certifications. Okay, you are going to prove it. Yes, this is what we have done and why we have done. Okay, so the purpose of statement of applicability is just a formal document which is listing all the 93 controls first of all with the justification. Okay, which control is applied, justification for that, which control is not applied, justification for that. So it is just acting as a bridge between your high level risk assessment. Okay, we are going to discuss all the things. Don't worry, I will show you how the risk assessment has been done, how the statement of applicability has been produced, what will be there in that statement of applicability. I will be giving you that idea as well. Okay, so as of now, I'm just setting up an objective over here that everyone will be sitting onto the same page. Down the line, when I will be talking on the statement of applicability further, risk assessment further, so you can correlate this thing. Okay, so we are simply setting up a stage now, getting a basic understanding about all these things, all these terms and conditions. Okay, so got the difference between the clauses and control. So clauses are what? Those are the mandatory things to be followed. Okay, if you adopt the ISMS, so there are clause 4 to clause 10, which we have to follow by anyhow. Further, to support those clause, we have the controls. Okay, now how those controls have been named? So we call it as an annexure A controls. Okay, now how many controls we do have? In total, we have 93 controls inside your ISMS. Now those 93 controls are further divided into 4 domains. We call it as in 4 themes: organization, people, physical, and technological. Organization is having 37, people is having 8 control, physical is having 14, and technological is having a 34 controls. If you're adopting any controls, okay, let's say you are applying 93 controls, all the 93 controls. Now where you are going to justify that? So for that, there will be high level document. A very important document will be prepared. We call that document as a statement of applicability. In that document, we are going to provide the justification why this people control we are having. Give the valid reason for that. Where you had applied this control. What is the reason for that? So you will be giving the complete justification. If you don't apply that control, for that also we provide a justification, a proper validation. Why you are not having that control? Because we don't have that business, we don't have that specific process running. So why to have that additional control? Okay. Now further, let's discuss onto the practical thing. Okay, so we have set the stage now. We got the basic understanding. Okay, what is the ISMS is all about, what the ISO 27001 is, further what are the clauses, what are the controls. Now, as an implementer, how you will be starting the project. Okay, so now we are ready to get our hands into the implementation and talk how actually these things will be implemented. This is where the rubber meets the road. We will be giving, I will be giving you, you can say, a breakdown of the implementation journey. Okay, so let's start with the phase 1 of your project. Okay, now in the phase 1, let's assume we all are starting a project that is an implementation. Okay, now how the project will be initiated. Okay, so phase 1 is talking on project initiation and scoping. Okay, now the very first step, what we are going to do: secure management buy-in. You cannot succeed until and unless your project is been given a commitment from the top management. You are having a support from the top management. Okay. We are not talking about the signature on the document. It's about the commitment. Okay. Whether the leadership has understood the value of the project. Okay. It's just not a checkbox. They are going to take the decision. Okay, so that's why it's very much important. See, without management support, you won't be able to get those necessary resources. You won't be able to get the budget as well. Okay, you won't be able to make the you can say make the changes if there is any challenge arise. Okay, so you need to have a backup for that. Now, who is going to back up your decision? This management is going to back up your decision. Okay. So in front of a leadership, we are going to give the valid reason, and based on that valid reason, the leadership is going to support to us. That is what your secure management buy-in is all about. Then we are going to establish the project team, then and the lead implementer. Or only, or you can say once you have the management support with you, next step will be building your team, because it's not an one person can say who is going to complete that project. It's not a solo mission. Will be requiring a team with different skill set. Okay. Now, who should be there on your team? That is again a very good question which will be coming into your mind. Okay, so to whom we are going to have in our team, who will become a team member. So you will be requiring, we can say, a diverse group of people. Okay, so these people coming from a different department, not only from the IT department. So you can have someone from the HR who is going to help you with the people related policies. Then someone can represent you from the legal to understand the compliance requirement. Okay, you can have the key stakeholders as well, so they are going to give you the good idea about the business side. Okay, who understand the organization. Okay, so like this you can have the team members. So lead implementer is just going to kick off the meeting with the team members, and then further the roles and responsibility will be distributed. Okay, so what will be the task of that HR person? The task of the HR person is to evaluate the HR process. Okay, to have the control related to that HR process, because that person knows in and out about that complete HR process, so that it will be easy for me as well. Okay, so roles and responsibilities will be given, then the HR can say that task will be assigned, so everyone knows their own part in the big picture. Now once the project has been initiated, the teams have been established, the roles and responsibilities have been given. Next, what we are going to do, we are going to define the ISMS scope. Okay, so this is where we are going to draw the line. Are we going to you can say do the assessment everywhere? Okay, are we going to do the implementation in the complete organization or to a specific part of an organization? Do we need to protect everything? This is what where your scope will give you the information. Those scope is going to define the boundary. Okay, so we should be very much clear that what all area to be covered. Are we certifying the entire company, or we are just specifying the division like IT department or sales team, operation department? So we are covering a small portion, or we are covering the entire portion. Okay, so this information will be available in your scope document. Okay, next thing, what need to be protected? Okay, what specific data is been covered? It's customer data or just the financial information? Okay, which location, which technology will need to get protected? System, network, or any physical location? Okay, so all this information will be available in your scope with the justification. Okay, for example, let's say InfoSec Trend decide to go with the implementation. Now the management is giving an insight. Okay, so let's go with an part by part. Okay, so planning for a complete organization certification, it is going to take a lot of an time, and it is going to take a lot of an effort as well. So let's do one thing. Let's implement in the critical business. So let's choose 5 process. Okay, or let's choose 3 process. Okay, so InfoSec Trend, the management decided to go with, let's say, sales process, to go with operation, okay, and to go with marketing. So this is what the scope is. Okay, the boundary is decided. The implementation is to be done in this three specific process only. Okay. Now where this process team has been setting into an physical location. What is that physical location? The city, the area where that office is getting, where the people are been operating from. That information will be given. What technology tools they have been using. Okay. That information will be listed out. What are the commitment from the management and what are the responsibility of the lead implementer. This is what the information will be available in your scope document. Okay, so we can specifically focus on our project. Okay, what to be done, where to be done, and how to be done. That is what the scoping is all about. Okay, now let me give you an idea about the project plan. How your project plan should look like. Okay, so we are starting a project. As an implementer, your duty is to create a plan as well. Now, how your plan will look like, just have a look into the screen. Okay, so you are seeing a Gantt chart over here. Okay, it is giving you a visual timeline of all the activity from start to finish. Okay, just think this is your master plan. Okay, your complete implementation journey is been listed down over here. Okay, not only that, it is helping us to me to show the difference, or you can say to give the idea about the task as well. Okay, now how I have divided the task over here. We are just starting the project, just think like that. Okay, now in that, first what will be my duty? First I will be creating the project plan. Okay, so first what we are doing, initiating, going with the planning. Okay, where we will be discussing what all tools will be required, how many team members will be required, where we are going to cover the implementation to an offsite to an onsite. Okay, now once the planning has been done, then the scope definition will be happened. Okay, so this is your week wise. So week 0 to week 2, 2 weeks we are going to kick off the plan. Okay, you can say kick off your implementation. Now in week second to week 4, what we are going to do, we are going to define the scope. Okay, so once you have built the team, once you have defined the roles and responsibility, now it's time to define the scope, that where you are going to do that implementation. Okay, now based on this plan, we will be starting with the risk assessment and risk treatment. Okay, where you are going to give most of your time. You are going to identify the threat. You are going to decide how you are going to deal with them. This is a very crucial part of your entire project. Risk assessment and treatment. We will be identifying the threat, risk, and vulnerability. Now, how you are going to mitigate those. Okay, so that will be done onto your week 4 to week 6. Then once the assessment has been done, we will develop the ISMS policy. Okay. To treat it, what required? We required the policy, we required the controls. Which controls to be implemented? Decide that and now implement those control. Okay. Now once the control implementation has been done, now it's time to give an awareness to every team member that we have introduced new control, we have introduced new policies. Okay, until and unless if I don't train the people, what is the use of that control? Okay, what is the use of that policy? So we will be giving and training and awareness session to everyone. Now, once the training and awareness session has been done, so after that we will be monitoring and measuring. Okay, you will be doing a quick assessment whether everyone understood about that control, whether everyone understood about those policies, whether everyone has been following the policies or not. Okay, so let's monitor whether that specific control is working fine or not. Okay, later down the time we will be doing a assessment. That is what your internal audit is. You will be checking every problem has been fixed or still there is a risk. Okay, if everything has been fixed, the report will be shared with the management. There will be a quick management review. They will be sharing their insights. Okay, after management review, everything has been done. No. What is our end goal? End goal is to get certify the organization. Okay. Now we will be starting for the preparation of the certificate. We will choose the certification body. Now that certification body will going to visit your site. They are going to perform a stage 1 audit where they are going to check the readiness of your organization. Now, once they get an assurance, once they get an confident, they will they will do the stage 2 audit. We call it as an external audit. Okay, done by the independent certification body. Okay, after the external audit, they will provide me the certificate. The organization will get the certificate. And with that, we will be going with a continuous improvement. Okay, go with the planning, plan for the next audit, do the audit. Okay, implement the things, reevaluate yourself. Next year, there will be a surveillance audit where they are going to reevaluate your organization again. This is how your plan will look like. Okay, so first we will be creating a planning, initiating the planning of the implementation. After that, there will be a scope definition. Okay, scope will be defined, boundary will be defined. Then we will be conducting the risk assessment. Okay, gap assessment and risk assessment. First is the gap assessment, then the risk assessment. Now after that, the treatment will be done. Now once the treatment has been done, we will create a new policy. We will implement those controls. Now what all new policies and controls are implemented, the training and awareness to be given to all the employees, so everyone should be staying relevant with the new upcoming emerging threats, with the new with the new policies and procedures as well. Followed by, there will be a monitoring, there will be an internal audit, there will be a management review. Okay, to check whether everything has been going as per the plan or not. Now once the organization get confident, yes, everything is as per the plan, everything is safe and secure, let's plan for the certificate. Okay, certification body will start with a stage 1, then move to the stage 2, and then goes with a continuous improvement. Okay, so this is how your plan will look like on the paper. Okay, now everything looks good on the paper. How about the actual things work? Okay, so once this planning has been done, after that, what I'm going to do, we are going to create the roles and responsibility. We call it as an RACI matrix. Okay, so look at this matrix which is given onto your slide, just giving you that how these roles are assigned to different activities with those ISMS implementation. Okay, so what do we have in this RACI matrix table? So first is the R stands for responsibility or responsible. So this is the person or the group who is going to perform the complete, or you can say who is going to work on that specific task. Okay, so they can be an single person or they can be a multiple person as well, who are the responsible one. Then we have the accountable. Okay, now this is the person who is ultimately answerable to all those questions. Okay, so there is only one person who can be an accountable for each task definitely, because the finally the authority, the approval will be done by him. Okay, next is your consultant. Okay, or consult. Now, these are the people whose opinion are very much important. You can say they are the subject matter expert. Okay, they are going to provide the valuable input before the decision or the action is been taken. And lastly is the informed. Okay, so these are the people who are kept informed that yes, we are onto the progress, we are performing the activity. They don't give any involvement, they don't take any decision as well. They are just been notified about the task. Okay, now coming back to this table. Okay, so by looking at the table, you will see that I have given the roles and responsibility to everyone. Okay, so for every activities, the roles and responsibilities have been defined. Okay, in terms of RACI. Okay, so first of all, the top management, if you see, what are they? They are the accountable person. Okay, they are accountable for every activity, from defining the scope to the certification decision. So they are the accountable for ensuring that the yes ISMS is fit for the purpose and they are achieving the objective as well. They are reaching to their goal. Okay. Then we have is your ISMS project manager. Who are they? They are the responsible. They are the responsible for many tasks. Okay, developing the policy, conducting the risk assessment. So they are the one who will be doing the hands-on work to get that project moving. Then we have the compliance officer or the security team or the risk manager. Who are they? They are the consult one. Okay, they are going to give an consultancy. Their expertise are very much important. So you can provide the input. You can complete that specific task. They can provide the input that how the risk assessment has been done, how the controls are been implemented, what are the compliance we have to follow. Okay. Then rest we have the different departments. Okay, HR department, employees. Okay. So these are typically the informed one. Okay, so HR department need to be informed when we are conducting an security training or HR, I can say the awareness program. So they will be they are the person who are going to make sure that each and every people from the organization have been attending the training. Then the employees become a responsible one because they are going to I can say follow that policy. Okay, they are going to make sure that the controls are being followed as well. Okay, in the organization. So using this AC matrix, we are ensuring the clarity over here. Okay, we are preventing the duplicacy as well. Not only that, we are guaranteeing that yes, everyone. Okay, your role is very much important in our ISMS implementation for the ongoing project. Okay, it is just acting as a foundation level. Okay, a well organized. So like this, we will be creating roles and responsibility for the ISMS. Okay, who will be the accountable person? Who need to be who will be the responsible person of the team? Who will be the consultant and who should be to whom should be going to inform all this information. Okay. Now once the CC matrix has been done, after that, what we are going to do? The next phase will be the gap assessment. Okay, so we have created the project plan, we have defined the roles and responsibilities. Okay, after that, what will be my next task? My next task will be conducting a gap assessment and then doing a risk assessment. Now, what is the difference between gap assessment and risk assessment? So first of all, gap assessment, what we do, we see what is my current state. Okay, and based on that, where we want to reach, what will be the desired state. So gap assessment will be done at first because already there are some existing control, already there will be some existing policy. So we are going to check whether the organization, what type of an controls they are having, what type of an policy they are having. Okay, and which all policies and controls they have been missing from the ISMS. Okay, so that's why we do an gap assessment. This gap assessment or gap analysis is going to play a very much important role. Okay, so let's say in our organization, we did an gap assessment, a quick gap assessment. Now, in that gap assessment, we observed that InfoSec train is not having a formal incident response plan. Okay, so they have handy security issues. They have handled multiple security issues in the past, but they don't have a complete chart for it. How they need to respond, to whom they need to respond, how to address those risks. Okay, now this is a clearly a gap, okay, which we have addressed. Now this gap need to be fixed. Okay, so further you will be suggesting to create an incident response plan, because if you look into the ISMS, there is a specific control for that. That is what it has been missing. Okay, so as I said, there will be existing control, there will be existing policies. We will be simply doing an analysis that which all things have been missing with the help of those gap assessment. Okay. Along with that, we are going to identify what are the critical assets, what are the threats and vulnerability related to the critical assets. Okay, so this is where you are going to do the risk assessment. Okay, so we will start identifying what are the most valuable asset for that organization. It is not only the physical items. Okay, it can be an intellectual property as well. It can be the brand reputation as well. Okay, threat. What we are going to do, we are going to identify what are the threat associated with those assets. Okay, what is going to, or what could harm those assets. Okay, so anything from the cyber attack to an environmental disaster, okay, or to an insider threat. Okay, so it can be anything. So we need to identify what are the threat to those assets. Then we will look into the vulnerabilities. What are the weakness? Okay, that further that threat can exploit to it. So is there any weak password policies? So that is an vulnerabilities. Okay, so if there is any server which is not been patched or which is not been updated, that will become your vulnerability. So these are the small weaknesses. So we are going to identify what are the weaknesses which is further going to impact my organization. Okay, there we calculate the likelihood and impact. Okay, you will get the risk. The formula for the risk is likelihood into the impact. So likelihood means how likely that threat or that vulnerability or that particular thing's going to get exploited. Okay, and what will be the impact? If that goes through, what will be the impact for my business? Okay. Now, how this gap assessment is been done, that is what the main question everyone will be having. Okay, how to do the gap assessment, how to do the risk assessment. So let me show you how actually we do the gap assessment. Okay, so as you see on the screen, I have created a small gap assessment, okay, a report. So let's talk about it. So you will be getting the answer over here, why and what. Okay. Uh, Now let's look into the how it is going to get started. Okay. So a gap assessment is what? Think like a medical checkup. Okay. So you are doing a medical checkup. So first you will be going to a doctor. Okay. So doctor will going to do a quick checkup whether you are healthy or not. Okay, so a gap is what? The same thing. Okay, same thing for the security. It's just a formal process. Okay, where we are going to ask how do our current security practices are meeting up with the 27001 standard. Okay, so what I have done, I have broken down into an columns. So we have a columns over here. First is your requirement, then is the current status, then is the gap identified, and then the action is it. Okay, requirement means mandatory. There should be a mandatory that information security policy to be there. Okay, so this column is specifying the clauses and control. Okay, second is current status. What is the status of that clause and control as of now? Okay, then what is the gap between your requirement and current status, and what action you are going to give, what action you are going to do? Okay, so this is what the four columns which is been needed. So example number one is been saying information security policies. That is a requirement. Then further, what is the gap? What is the current status? No formal approvals is no formal approved is policies in place. Okay, So we are realizing that they are having a informal unwritten rules. There is no formal approved policies are in place. Okay, what is the gap we had identified? We had identified the gap. There is a lack of documentation. Okay, there is no written rules. That is what the gap is. And what action we have suggested, that organization should draft and approve a formal information security policy with the management sign off. Okay, further is the risk assessment. Okay, so there is a specific law 6.1.2 saying that do the risk assessment. Now, what is the current status? Information IT risk assessment check done, but no documentation method. They have done the risk assessment, but they don't have any justification for that. There is no information available that yes, they have done the risk assessment. There is no report available. Okay. So what is the gap identified? No structure risk assessment process. When they are doing it, where they are doing it, there is no documented method for that. So develop and implement a formal risk assessment methodology. How you are going to do the risk assessment, when you are going to do the risk assessment, where you are going to do the risk assessment. So create a methodology for that. Okay, the plan, if you guys remember the clause number 6. Under to the clause number 6, 6.1.2 has been saying make a plan for the risk assessment. Okay, create a methodology. Develop and implement a formal risk assessment methodology. That is what the clause number 6.1.2 has been saying. Okay, then the requirement is saying access control. It's a specific control. Over here, we are talking about the clauses. Over here, we are talking about the controls now. Okay, so there is a specific control talking on access control. Now, what is the current status? Generic user account weak password has been enforced. Okay, so this is what the current status is. So what gap has been identified? Poor identification and access management control, no properly used. Everyone or most of them are having an access to every records. Okay, followed by the password policy is also an weak. Everyone is going with a 6-character password, and those password can be reused multiple times, and many of them are using their name as a password. Weak password enforcement. Okay, now what action has been required? Implement a unique ID, enforce a strong password, and enable a multi-factor authentication. Okay, so that is what the access control has been saying, and we are suggesting to have a strong control in place. Okay, so you have a system with a generic user account and with a weak password. That is what the gap has been identified. Poor identities and access management control, and we are we are saying that go ahead, plan and include the action like implement a unique user ID. Not only that, enforce a strong password policy, and with that, enable the multi-factor authentication. This is going to close that gap. Okay. Next is your a control. We are testing one more control, which is your incident response. Now, what is the current status of that control? Incident handle and ad hoc by IT, no documentation process. What is the gap? No formal incident response plan or the logging mechanism is been followed in that organization. This is what the gap we had identified. Now, what are the suggestions? As an implementer, we are suggesting that create an incident response policy, train the staff. What will be the reporting procedure? How you are going to report the incident if any incident occurred? Who will be the first point of contact? Okay, so that is what we are suggesting. So when we tested the control, we had identified that incidents are not properly been handled. There is no documented process for that. Okay, that is what the gap is. For that, we are suggesting create an incident response policy, train your staff on reporting procedure to whom you are going to report, who will be your first point of contact in that case. Okay, so as you can see, this gap assessment is the first step. to create your actionable project plan. Okay, so it will move from your state like we think we are securing to we know exactly what we need to do. That is to the desired state. Okay, we are simply building up a smart and effective ISMS. So first what we do a gap assessment because already there will be existing policies and controls. Now in that existing policies and control, what are the missing things? How you are going to identify with the help of this gap assessment. Now once the gap assessment has been done, after that, what will be my next step? My next step will be to do and risk assessment now. Here comes your risk assessment. Okay. So this risk assessment is your foundation step. Okay. So we simply follow the systematic process. We identify, analyze, and evaluate. Okay. So risk assessment is just a structured way to answer your question. What could go wrong? How likely it is going to happen? How bad it would be? Okay. So as you can see to the image, so what I have done, I have created a list, asset, threat, vulnerability, and risk over here. Okay. So first is the asset list. Second is the what will be the threat and vulnerability and risk to that asset. Okay. So first asset is my customer data, which is an PII. Okay. Because a customer database contains a personally identified information, which are very much critical asset. Okay. For every business. Then we are identifying the threat. Okay. So we identify what are the threat related to the asset. Okay, so threat means what? A threat can be anything which can cause or which can harm your asset. It can be internal, it can be external, or it can be intentional, or it can be an accidental as well. Okay, now for my customer database, what is a threat? The threat could be a malicious insider. Malicious insider means the employee who can steal the data. Okay, or it can be an external hacker as well who is trying to gain an unauthorized access. So for my customer data where we did an assessment and identified that there can be a malicious insider. Okay, why I came to this conclusion? Because there is a weak password policy. Okay, so weakness is what? Weakness is the weak password policy which can further exploit or harm my asset. Okay, if the threat is who, vulnerability is how. A weak password policy on your customer database is the vulnerability that the your malicious insider could easily get exploited. Okay, and finally, we will put all this together to understand the risk, a potential harm. Okay, now how we consider the risk based on to the likelihood and impact. If this goes through, what will be the impact in my organization? There will be a data breach. Okay, there will be an financial penalties as well if I am not regulating customer data. Client information is very much important. It is falling under to certain regulations as well. So there will be an hefty penalties for me. There will be a reputational damage for me. Okay, if that threat goes through, vulnerabilities goes through, it will going to impact a lot on my organization. Okay. Further, the next asset I have listed down is here HR employee record, HR information. Okay. What can become a threat to the HR records? Phishing attack can become a threat. What is the vulnerability? Lack of staff awareness training. So I have observed that the training is not properly given to all the employees, which could further lead to an phishing attack. If that phishing attack goes through, what will happen? What will become the risk? There will be an unauthorized access all the employees, identity theft, compliance issue. That will become a risk. Okay. Next, I put it down the asset as a computer application, which is in SaaS. Okay. So for my SaaS application, what can become a threat? Service outage or the DOS attack, DDoS attack. If there is no redundancy or no backup plan, definitely this will go through. Okay, my application will go down, will going to have a downtime. If there is a downtime, there will be a loss into the customer. The customer trust will go, SLA will get breached. That will become my risk. Okay, further, the next asset was on-premises server. Now, if I'm having a server in my premises, if that server is unpatched or I am using a outdated antivirus, what will become a threat? Malware and ransomware attack will become a threat because I'm using an outdated antivirus. I'm not updating, I'm not patching that operating system. I'm using the old operating system. So whenever any update is been pushed, whether we are using that application in our mobile phone or in our personal laptop, or whether we are using those applications in our office laptop, so it is recommended always update those applications on timely basis. Why? Because those patches have been shared. So if there is any weakness, if there is any problem, those can be fixed. Okay. So what will be the risk? System will get compromised, data will get lost, and there will be a disruption into my operation. That will become a risk. Okay. So with this systematic approach, first what we did, we simply identified what are the critical asset to my business, what are the threat and vulnerability related to those asset, and what are the resulting risk. Okay, so we simply prioritize the list with the help of your risk treatment. We can say with the help of your risk assessment. Now, based on this, we will be creating a risk treatment plan. Okay, so we will be deciding whether we want to mitigate, transfer, avoid, or to accept the risk. Okay, so let's talk on that part as well. So once we have conducted the gap assessment, we have done the risk assessment. Now it's time to move into the next phase, which is your phase number 3 of your implementation. What the phase number 3 has been saying, risk treatment and control selection. You have identified the problem. Well and good. Now it's time to treat that problem and to fix it with the help of an control. That is what your next task is. Okay. Now let's look into the main part of this phase. Now what all options we do have in the treatment? We have mitigation, we have avoidance, we have transfer, and we have the acceptance. Okay. Now mitigation, this is the most common approach in your ISO 27001. Now what does that mean? That means that you are implementing a control, you are reducing the risk. Okay, you are actively doing something to lower down that likelihood of to the impact. Okay, so we are treating that risk, we are limiting that risk. That is what the mitigation is. Next option we have is your avoidance. Okay, so this is about eliminating the risk altogether, but by not performing any activity. Okay, so avoidance means you are simply eliminating the risk altogether, but we are not performing any activity. It is often a business decision. Who will decide this? The management will decide this. Okay, then we have the transfer. Transfer means you are shifting the risk to another party. So typically when we purchase the cyber insurance or you go with the outsourcing process, there we go with the transfer. Okay, you are shifting the risk to an second party or to a third party. Okay, then we have the acceptance. Acceptance means doing nothing. Okay, so this will be appropriate if there are lower risk, lower level of risk, or else you don't have that much of a cost to implement. Okay, if it is going beyond to your budget, at that time we are going to accept it. We are going to keep that risk as it is, and also we are going to monitor if it is not, that risk is not going high onto the higher side. Now, not every time we will be doing this. This will be done only for the few lower level risk. Okay, so these are some of the, you can say, the key concept where you will be deciding that what to do with that risk. Now based on risk, okay, so let's say we go with the mitigation. Okay, we what we are going to do, we are going to select the control and then we are going to prepare the statement of applicability. Here we are going to prepare the SOA document. Out of those 93 controls, now which controls you are going to apply? What all controls you are going to introduce? Okay, so we are going to list down every single control followed by giving a justification. If this control applied, why? If that control not applied, why? You will get the justification. Okay. Now, how your risk treatment plan will look like and how your statement of applicability will look like, let me give you an idea on that as well. Okay. Now, based on the risk assessment, what we have done over here, okay. So I have created a risk treatment plan for this as well. Okay. So we have identified the threat, risk and vulnerability, and based on that, we are going to treat it. How you are going to treat it? This is how the risk treatment plan will look like. Okay. So there are some common columns or key columns which I have mentioned over here. So first is the risk ID. Second is your asset. Third is your threat and vulnerability. Then the treatment decision. Okay. Followed by we have mapped the control from the next array to treat it. What is the category of that control? Okay. And what will be the residual risk for that? Okay, so this is how your treatment plan will look like. So first is my risk number one. Okay, so for what asset we have identified the risk for customer database PII. What was the threat and vulnerability inside the threat? Exploiting weak password policy. What we are going to do? Definitely we are going to mitigate this. How we are going to mitigate this? So this is the mapped control which has been suggested. So go and have an authentication information. Control number 5.17. Have a strong authentication. Go with the multi-factor authentication. Not only that, go with the access site. Okay. Have the access site and review it regularly. Go with the privilege access site as well. Restrict and monitor those admin access. Okay. So this is what the control has been suggested over here. Okay. The treatment is to can say the treatment plan is saying mitigate it, have the authentication information. Okay, so this is where we are going to implement a strong authentication like multi-factor authentication. Access site, what we are doing, we are simply restricting the access to the database. To whom? To the person who are absolutely requiring it. Okay, by implementing this control, the residual risk will become what? Low. What is a residual risk? The threshold, the acceptable risk for the organization. Okay, so this control is falling under to which category? So 5 falling under to the organization, 8 falling under to the technological. Okay, the categories also been listed. Then we have the next asset, which is your HR employee record. What is the threat and vulnerability? Phishing attack due to lack of awareness. So for that, what we are going to do, what decision has been taken? Definitely we are going to mitigate it. Now, how we are going to mitigate? So there are the few controls which have been suggested over here. Go with the information security awareness training program. So we will conduct a mandatory security training for all the staff. Okay. Then have an information security incident management plan as well. Okay. So create a can say a process that employee will be reporting all those phishing attempts. Now, how those need to be reported? A strategy required. So on that, you can say incident response plan, incident management plan. You will be getting all those information, followed by threat intelligence. Okay, so we will be monitoring all those new phishing campaigns and warning the employees. Okay. Now, after implementing this control, so what will be my residual risk? I will bring down, or you can say I will bring down to the medium, which is again acceptable level for the organization. Now, this control are falling under to which category? People and organization. Okay, so 6 is for the people and 5 is for the organization. Okay. Then we have the asset number 3, which is your cloud application SaaS. What is the problem in that cloud application? Server outage due to redundancy or there is no backup. So what we are going to do, we are going to mitigate and transfer. Transfer why? Because it is an service which has been taken from the third party. Okay. Now, what are the control suggestions over here? So, control has been suggesting go with the ITC readiness for the business continuity. Okay. So, definitely there should be a no loss, no damage. So, what we are going to do, we are going to have the redundancy over there, failover plans. Then 5.29 talking on information security during disruptions, how you are going to continue your business. Okay, and lastly is your information security continuity. Document the recovery plans. What will your plan be? Okay, so this control falls under to the organization and technological control. So what we are doing, we are limiting that risk to the medium level. Okay, then we have the asset number 4, on-premises servers. So what are the problem with that? Malware infection due to unpatched operating system. So what we are going to do, we are going to treat that problem, mitigate it. Okay, how? By having the management of technical vulnerabilities. Okay, manage the technical vulnerability. That means do the vulnerability assessment. Protect against malware. Have the EDR antivirus controls over there. Acceptable use of information asset. Go with the rules for the user. That is your system access. What is the limitation for the people? Okay, so this fall under the technological organization. By having this control, we will be limiting the risk to the low level. Okay, so this is how we are going to prepare the risk treatment plan. For every risk which has been identified, there will be a treatment plan for that. Now, once the treatment plan is out, so what we have listed down the controls. These are the controls we want. Okay. Now, further, we will be updating this control into our statement of applicability with the justification. This is how your SOA template will look like. Okay. So we have suggested few controls. Control number A 5.17, which is talking an authentication applicable. Yes, this is the justification. Need to mitigate weak password. Required multi-factor authentication to the sensitive system. What is the implementation progress? As of now, we are implementing, so it will be in progress. We are planning to do it, so there will be a plan written. If already been implemented, so status will be implemented. Okay, why you came up with this control? Why you want this control? Because we have identified the risk inside a thread to the customer database. Okay, so like this, we are going to give a justification. What all controls we do want? What is the status of that control? What is the progress? And with the justification. Okay, now from where we have picked this control from the NX array. Okay, so this has been picked from your NX array. How many controls we do have in your NX array? 93 controls sitting under to 4 domains. Okay, now after having this SOA template, after doing the implementation of the control, what will be our next phase, or you can say next step? So I will be moving on to the phase number 4, where we do the implementation. After the implementation, we do the documentation. So we will implement those control which is given into the SOA, and followed by we will create a document of the policy of the risk treatment and update the statement of applicability. What is the status now after the implementation implemented? What is the status in progress? Okay. Now how your policy document will look like once the implementation has been done. So this is some of the template which I have shown you into the screen. Okay. So there are two fundamental types of policy. So first of all, both these policies have been aligned with your controls. Okay. So we have the authentication access control. Okay. Now what are those controls? Those are your A 5.17, A 5.18, and A 8.2. So multi-factor authentication shall be enforced for access to critical system and customer data. Access rights shall be granted on a least privilege basis and reviewed at least quarterly, and privilege access control shall be strictly controlled, logged, and monitored. Okay, so first we are asking them to create a multi-factor authentication for all the critical system. Okay, so when we log into the online banking app, Okay. So first what we do, we give the ID and password, and after that we have to give the OTP. Okay. So what is happening over there? Again, a multi-factor authentication. Now, why this has been done? Because the policy has been written at the back end that we require the additional level of protection, not the same level of protection. We require an additional level protection. Okay. To because it's a very important data. Company's most important data, the client data. Okay, so that's why the OTP has been sent. And based on that, once we put that OTP, you will get an access to that portal. Okay. Then it has been saying that go with the least privileges. Now this is the core security principle. It means we only give employee the minimum level of access they need to do which has been required to do their or to complete their job. Nothing more than that. Okay. Then privilege access control. Now this policy requires or also can say requires a strict control over an account. Okay, where we go with elevated privileges like your IT administrator. Okay, then we have the accounts with the master key. Okay, so they must be especially this profiles must be especially well protected. Okay. Then is your information security training and awareness. All employee must complete mandatory security awareness training, including phishing simulation. Refresh training will be provided annually, and with new risk or new technology has been introduced. Okay. So first, mandatory. The policy has been saying that all the employees should be undergoing through the training program. Then the simulations, specifically, there will be a training conducted on a phishing simulation. Third, there will be a refreshing training in a year, okay, which provides new insights about the new risk and the technology which has been introduced. Okay, so that means stay updated in simple term. Okay, so this is going to take an high level goals into your ISMS specifically to make them actionable for every organization. So they are simply creating a foundation for the robustness of an information security management system. Okay. Now, once we have completed, we have created the statement of applicability, we have created a new policy. Then after that, what we are going to do? Okay. Then we will be moving into the stage number 5, which is your training and communication. Okay. We have introduced new control and policy. We have done that. Now it's important that all the employees should be updated. The mandatory training. Now what we have done, we have given a control, so it becomes mandatory by default. Okay, so there should be an awareness training for all the employees. There should be a role specific training for all the key staff. So with this, we are giving a commitment that yes, we are going within continuous improvement. Okay. So few trainings will be given like phishing training, password security, clean desk policy. Okay. So you will become a trainer over there, going to give them an idea about what this control is all about, what is the password security is all about, how the clean desk policy should be maintained. Okay. Then followed by role specific training for the key staffs. Not everyone required over here. Okay. Only the specific level of security training will be given to the staff member. For example, for IT team, for HR manager, for finance department manager. Okay. To those people, the training will be given. Okay. So IT team will be receiving a specific training that how to handle the security incident. Okay. Then HR manager will be trained on that how to securely handle all the employees' data. Okay, so like this, specific training programs have been given to those key members. Okay, and finally, we are simply giving a commitment. Yes, we are updated. Okay, not only that, we are going with a continuous improvement as well. Okay, now after this, once the training has been given, once everything has been done, okay, so it's time to do the checks now. Okay, we have done the implementation. We have trained all the employees. We have introduced the policies. Now it's time to evaluate whether everything has been going on track or not. Okay, so there where your phase 6 will start. Conduct internal audit to check the ISMS has been compliant. Identify the non-conformity. Now, this non-conformity is the technical term we use in the audit. Conformity means compliant, non-conformity means non-compliant. Okay. And the improvement. And lastly, there will be a management review based on the input which we are providing on the report. Okay. So internal audit, we are simply going to check whether the new access control policies which are being followed or not. Okay. Followed by there is an can say specific control we have introduced. Okay. Talking about the threat intel, whether it has been followed or not, whether the risk assessment process has been followed or not. Okay, so we are going to evaluate those controls. We are going to check those controls. Okay, auditor will come at the side. They will be having their own team. Then they will be making sure that everything has been working fine. If not, what are the problems? How to fix those problems? Okay, so that goes under to an identifying non-conformity and improvement. Now, once the report has been created, that report will go under to the management review. Okay, management will going to give their commitment if anything need to be changed. Okay, so they are going to first review the report. They are going to check what is the status of the ISMS. They will take the feedback from the stakeholders. They will take the feedback from the employees. If any changes to the organization risk environment required, so they will be pushing up those changes as well. Okay, so with this they are simply giving a commitment from there as well. Okay, that we are well prepared, we are confident. Now let's go with the certificate. Okay, so there will your phase 7 will start, the certification. Now what the organization will be doing, so organization will be selecting the certification body. Let's say we have many certification body available in the market, so we chose with the BSI. Okay, so BSI will be, we have selected the BSI. Now BSI will going to send an agreement letter. We are going to sign that agreement letter. They will be sending their auditor. Okay. Now first, the auditor is going to do a stage 1 audit. Now what is the stage 1 audit? They are simply going to check the readiness, whether I have completed the internal audit on time, whether the management review has been done on time, whether all my policies documents are updated. That is what the stage 1 audit is all about, where they are going to check the readiness. Now, once the readiness has been done, after then the actual audit will begin. That is your stage 2 audit. Okay. On-site audit of the ISMS effectiveness. So they will be collecting the evidence, they will be doing the risk assessment, and then the report will going to say whether you going to get the certificate or not. Okay, a timeline will be given. It's not like that directly the decision will be taken. So they will going to give you a time to fix those problems. Okay, and once we fix those problems, definitely we will be awarded with a certificate. Okay, so this is how your certification journey will look like after the implementation specifically. Okay. Now, once the certification done, the implementation done, the internal audit has been done. Okay, so everything looks very good. Everything looks very. Everyone has been happy now. Okay, so will there be any challenge? Definitely. Okay, there can be a challenge. You can face a challenge during this project as well, and challenge can come from any point. Any point. Now there are few of the challenge which I have listed. Okay. Lack of support from the management. Okay. Frame ISO 27001 as a business enabler. So sometime a security project is seeing lots of challenges in their complete project. Okay. If the top management is not giving a full commitment, they are not providing a resources, they are not taking the authority, will going to definitely going to impact my, you can say, the ISMS or the implementation. If I am taking the framework as a business enabler, it is just not going to help me out. Okay, so give the insight. How this certificate going to help me? So with this certificate, we are going to win new customers. We are going to build new trust. We are going to ensure the business continuity. Okay, explain this thing to the management so they can further take a final call. Challenge is staff resistance. Involve staff early. Explain why. Okay, so employees might see some new security policies as a burden. Okay, so they will see it will be an extra work for us. Give them, tell them it's not like that. Explain the reason behind to that. Take the workshop. Okay, create some campaign. Go and have some campaign and give them an insight that how this policy is going to protect their organization in real time. Okay. Now, when the employer understand the importance of their role, so this will become their part of the solution. Okay. So they know they won't be thinking as a burden to this. Some will be thinking that it is too much documented. Okay. Sometimes you will see 27,001 is very much overwhelming because there is lots of documentation required, policy, procedure, risk treatment plan, risk assessment plan. Okay. No, it's not like that. Okay. If we create a document at every single stage, it is saying that yes, I have completed my task, I have done my duty. A well written policy is better than the complex one as well. Okay, so we can go and use the tool, we can say the templates as well. Okay, it's not necessary that every time I will be creating a new document. You can use the old template, you can take the reference. Okay, so that can help you out. Further, risk assessment feels overwhelming. Okay, so risk assessment can be intimidated sometime, especially in the large organization where thousands of assets are there. Okay, now what will help? What is going to help you over there? Just go with the narrow scope. Okay, use a structure method. Don't try to boil the ocean. Okay, simply focus on the most critical assets. Okay, narrow down the things, check what will be the threats related to those critical asset, and this analogy will going to help you to make a structured plan, actionable plan. It's not always you are going to evaluate each and everything. No, you are having a limited time. Simply go with the risk based approach. Prioritize the thing like how we are prioritizing a task on a daily basis. Same way we have to go with the risk assessment as well. Prioritize what are the critical assets for the organization and then start the risk assessment. Okay, so this is how we will be doing the implementation. Okay, so it's always starts with the understanding. Okay, it starts with the strategic role. It starts with the gap assessment. It goes with the risk assessment. It goes with the risk treatment and end up with the control implementation. Okay, so before we open up for the question, okay, so there are a few takeaways I want to share it over here. So first, you need to understand a very good insight about the ISMS. Okay, so get familiar with the clauses and control. Okay, so how what does clause and control is all about? Because ISO 27001 is not a one-time project; it's a cycle, a continuous improvement cycle, which requires an ongoing vigilance. It requires a commitment from everyone. Okay, so understand the importance of the clause and control. Okay, what are the steps, what are the roles and responsibilities involved as an implementer? Understand those responsibilities, and then it will be easy for everyone to do the implementation. So practice makes you the perfect. Okay, so as I given you some of the insights about the gap assessment, risk assessment, so from tomorrow, what you can do, you can pick up any of the control. Just imagine your organization, you are doing a risk assessment or gap assessment for your organization. Just create a list of it. What are the critical assets, and simply start going with the gap assessment and going with the risk assessment and create the risk treatment plan for that. So this is how you can practice. Okay. So I hope everyone got an insights about the implementation of 27001, how actually the 27001 has been implemented.